I'd like to share one more big idea that I believe is literally a game changer. Our Gedolim over the last week have been giving us inspiration, telling us to be mechazek in our tefillos for our army, our tefillos for the people who are suffering here in Eretz Yisrael and beyond. They've been telling us to work on Torah study, on Achdus, Gemilas Chasadim. But there's one thing that I do not think is getting enough mention. Here in Eretz Yisrael, Rabbi Yomin Finkel said it in the name of Reb Chaim Shmulevitz. I spoke with a few Rabbanim here in the city, and they all said to me, this is pashut, this is obvious, you should spread this around. This is an important message to give to people. Let's start off in the beginning over here. We are now in a ridiculously crazy situation. My daughter says to me, they're saying we will go in there and we will be victorious. Anachnu nenatzeach. How exactly do they intend to be victorious? What exactly is their game plan? Let's think this through. Let's imagine that they turn Gaza into a parking lot. They destroy the place. They kill every single Hamas member. And they install a friendly, cuddly government that just loves Jews. That will solve the problems? That will solve the problems? Who honestly thinks that's going to happen? And if it could happen, let's keep going. We know that the culture of our enemy is a culture of vengeance. We know they pass this hatred into the mother's milk, into their children. We know that they do not care about their own lives, that they are happy to commit suicide, to be able to hurt a Jew, to be able to get their teenage fantasy Islamic olam haba. We know that they hate their own children almost as much as they hate our children. So if you can solve Gaza, what about Hezbollah? What about Syria? What about, as my Rebbe, Rav Moshe Shapiro, would always say, that the biggest enemy before Mashiach comes will be Iran, and they are proxies of Iran. What about Arabs and Muslims that hate us throughout the world? There's 1.1 billion Muslims out there. Let's say just 0.1 billion want us dead. 0.1 billion is a lot of millions. That's 100 million people that want us dead. Is there a game plan to be able to destroy them all, to neutralize them all, to get them all to change? My Rebbe, Rav Moshe Shapiro, Tzaddik Zichron Livracha, 10 years ago, in a similar situation, he said, Ze elbon l'intelligencia shel yeled ben eser. It is an embarrassment to the intelligence of a 10-year-old child to think that we can solve this problem through diplomacy or through the power of our military. So now what? How on earth is there going to be a nitzachon? How on earth is there going to be an end game to the cycle that we're going through? And the answer is that there is a solution. Because 2,000 years ago, everything that is happening to us right now has been written and documented in great detail. We are living out what Pirkei Rabbi Eliezer has warned us. Again, Rabbi Eliezer, the Rebbe of Rabbi Akiva, he wrote this 2,000 years ago. I have in front of me my Pirkei Rabbi Eliezer. You should get one. Just have a look at Perek Lamed Aleph. Perek Lamed. And there you'll see that Rabbi Yishmael, how ironic, it's Rabbi Yishmael. He expounds that before Mashiach comes, before the final Geula, Klal Yisrael are going to be back in the land of Israel. And can you imagine reading this over the centuries? What? Klal Yisrael is going to be back in Eretz Yisrael before Mashiach comes? And he continues, and we will suffer under the hands of the Bnei Yishmael. And he lists 15 different things that we will be going through. Reading this list is like reading today's newspaper. I have over here commentaries. One at the bottom is from Reb Chaim Falaji. He was the Rav in Izmir in Turkey 150 years ago. And he writes, and I quote, V'haroya yira, dekama mehani tisvav, kwa hischilu lasis. Then 150 years ago, when the Yishuv was just developing, he says it's unfolding in front of our own eyes. This is proof. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is busy in bringing out the Melech HaMashiach. Today, almost all of these are happening in the most obvious way. But now, I get to the most important thing. You turn to Perek Lamed Beis. You see the two things are connected. And there, he says the following thing. Now, keep in mind that until Perek Lamed Beis, when you see the word Yishmael, what do you think? Yishmael, they have the power of tefillah. Everyone has been saying this. They have the koyach of tefillah, Yishmael, God listen. Not only that, Pirkei Rav Eliezer says, Yishmael, they have Hashem's name in them. Oimi Yichya Misumakel, it's a pasuk in Balak. How do we survive a nation that had the power of tefillah, that have Hashem's name? They have tefillah, we have tefillah. They have their mosque, we have our shuls. But in Perek Lamed Beis, there's a plot twist. There it says the following, and I quote, V'lama nikra shema Yishmael. Why is he called Yishmael? She'asid HaKadosh Baruch Hu lishmaya b'koil na'akas ha'am. Hashem is going to listen to the na'akas ha'am. The home is Klal Yisrael. Rav Moshe Shapiro explains that the word na'akas is a play on the na'aka of Klal Yisrael in Parsha Shemais. For those that want to understand, na'aka is a form of tefillah. Rav Baruch Ber, this is quoted by Rav Shimshon Pinkus, explains that na'aka is a mashal. If a child gets hit by the father and the child starts to cry, he runs into shul and starts davening mincha. People ask him, what are you doing? He says, I'm crying anyhow because I've been hit. At least let me channel this to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The Na'aka of Bnei Yisrael Mitzrayim, they were suffering and they channeled that pain into tefillah to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And here it says, at the end of days, this is how it's all going to end. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to listen to the Na'akas Bnei Yisrael. And then it says the following words, Mimashe asidim b'nei Yishmael lasis ba'aretz ba'achres hayamim. What the Bnei Yishmael will do to us in the land of Israel at the end of days. And then he brings a pasuk into Hilim Nun Ches. V'yishmakel v'yaneim. Yishmakel v'yaneim. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to answer our tefillas. So Yishmael has a twist. At the end, his name is how we bring the final geula. So now I'm ready to make my point. We all know that we're supposed to be davening for our beloved soldiers. We should daven at every possible moment, especially when they go in, that every bullet that they shoot should hit their mark, and every bullet that they shoot should miss, and our boys should come out, every single one of them, healthy, unscathed. We should be able to get all our captives and bring them all home. That every single mother that has anxiety, every single... I can't begin to tell you the stories I've been hearing. If I start saying I'm going to start to cry, my daughter tells me her 4-year-old, they don't have a television in their house, has anxiety through osmosis, just seeing what everyone else is going through. There's so much suffering that this should come to an end, and we can do this with the koyach of our tefillas. But there's another tefillah that we may be forgetting to do. And that is the following. We need to get to this moment where the na'aka, the pain that we're going through, is directed to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We have the ability to turn to HaKadosh Baruch Hu and say, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, open the eyes of our brothers and sisters, that they can see that it's you. They can see that everything is coming from you, and they should turn with their pain to you in tefillah. Every single Jew across the globe. We said, Yom Narayim, Kseiv l'chaim toivim kol b'nei brisecha. That means our brothers and sisters who don't keep Shabbos, who aren't mechazik themselves with Torah, who aren't being mechazik themselves with teshuvah. Why wait for what the Gemara in Sanhedrin Tzadi Zayin brings down, that there's going to be a melech kosher kahamon that's going to bring all of Klal Yisrael to teshuvah? Isn't this enough? Isn't what we saw last week enough? Something incredible. In 1973, Shlomo Wolbe said there was a ruach mimarim. HaKadosh Baruch Hu sent a wave of teshuvah that was unprecedented in Klal Yisrael. To give it some background, in 1967, Our army, in the matter of 6 days, destroyed 3 huge, powerful armies. That's when Hashem said yes. What happened next? My chavrusa David Kamenetsky told me his grandfather Rabbi Yaakov says, they became shikorei nitzachon. They became drunk with their victory. I'm talking about our not yet from brothers and sisters and their leaders and their generals. In 1973, it was the other way around. Suddenly we realized that when Hashem says no, then we have no power whatsoever. And then Hashem did the nisim after all the tefillos that came. It's so obvious that this is happening right now. Last week we saw that Klal Yisrael has no koyach whatsoever. When Hashem says no, then tractors and paragliders can overcome the power of our forces. And now, everything can change. The army can go back in with our tefillas, with our teshuvah, with our Torah. And we need to daven that they, the soldiers, and their leaders, and our politicians should say HaKadosh Baruch Hu's name. They should stop calling this war called the Iron Fist War, whatever it's called. It sounds like some Soviet era name. What are they thinking? Call it the Simchas Torah War. It should bring us to teshuvah, bring us to a hisayrus that's real. Rav Moshe Sternbuch, who, by the way, the last month, he has been predicting this to tremendous accuracy. A man in his 90s, he's been warning the whole of Tishrei that something terrible is about to happen. People ask him to stop. He says, no, I cannot stop. We have to do teshuvah. He brought down a pasuk in Yeshayahu. He asked the question, does it make sense that we want our forces to win, but completely win, have tremendous hatzlacha at the same time that they shouldn't say koichi v'oitzim yadi, that it's us. They should realize it's Hashem. And he brought from a pasuk in Yeshayahu that talks about 2 ships in the ocean going in opposite direction. Each side is davening the opposite tefillah. One wants the wind from east to west, the other wants the wind from west to east. And the pasuk in Yeshayahu says they both daven, and Hashem says yes to both of them. Hashem is so great that what nature says is impossible, He can do both. Says Rav Moshe Sternbuch, that's what we need to be davening now. That Tzahal is completely successful. That they bring back every single captive. And at the same time, everyone realizes it's not Tzahal. Tzahal is just a kli of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And that the engine of Tzahal is the way it was since the times of Yeshua. Is are the yeshiva bachrim and the koils and the tefillas of the men and the women and the children. And with that, they can have a proper nitzachon. With that, they can have a nitzachon that is truly, truly an endgame. So let's ask HaKadosh Baruch Hu that we should see this happen very, very quickly. Yishmael, v'yanim. Hashem should listen to our naka and answer us straight away. Not through more pain, but through His iris of teshuvah that has never been seen since ancient times. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, bring your children back. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, open their eyes that they should do teshuvah. And Be'ez Hashem, all of us, together, all our brothers and sisters, every single one of them, can together with joy greet the Melech HaMashiach b'mehera v'yameinu.